That's better. Nice and comfy. Oh, hello there. My name is Zach. Do I know you from somewhere? What's your name? Ah, yeah, now I remember. Are you here to listen to a story? Good. Now, nice and comfy. You're nice and comfy. You sit down, relax, and get ready. It's about to begin. And just ignore the sound in the background, it's my washing machine. Now then, where to begin? Oh, I know. How about once upon a time? How many times have you ever heard that to begin a story? Let's do something else. We'll just do what we usually do. Now then, Thomas of Redhill joins the Redhill Army, Part 1. A young noble Redhill half-elf walked through the barracks of the Redhill military camp. He was Thomas of Redhill from the north of Redhill. He was a tall and thin 14-year-old half-elf, with thick, wavy, coal-black hair, bright emerald green eyes, and a nose like a half-squashed tomato, as well as a few bruises from where he had been in fights on the streets. He'd spent most of his childhood on the streets fighting with people his age and older. Thomas was also a well-known swordsman. He got his sword skills from his father. He didn't know his father very well, as he was killed by werewolf mercenaries during a battle in the Second Werewolves War 2 years ago. When Thomas was at his family home, he watched as his father was brought back dead. Then he had no choice but to join up, as he was now 14, and had to, as that was the age when you must do your military service, no matter what your rank of title. Wow, this place is bigger than I thought, Thomas said in amazement. Then, 2 soldiers carrying a huge basket of weapons called behind him, "Watch your head!" And Thomas must had time to duck. Then, as he walked on, he came face to face with a group of Redhill soldiers. "Hey, look at this! A new boy!" said a muscular white man with thick blonde hair and beard, and wearing steel chainmail along with a black steel chest plate and a red cloak of the Redhill Army. "Look at him, all dressed up in his noble vest," said a tanned female wood elf with long black hair and wearing a tattered leather chest plate with 4 claw marks down the front of it, and wearing the same red cloak of the Redhill Army. "He's really skinny, isn't he?" said a tall and stocky white man with greyish-black beard and hair, and also wearing chainmail, steel armour, and the same red cloak of the Redhill Army as his companions. Thomas backed off a little. He felt intimidated by these people. Then he felt an arm clasp his shoulder. He jumped and turned to see the handsome and scarred wood elf face of his big brother, Idris of Redhill. "I'll have you guys know this is my little brother Thomas. He is our comrade in arms, and he will be with me. Those are the commander's orders, and he will be with us from now on in the army, fighting seeing werewolf scum. Now, suit him up, old frick," Idris said cheerfully, as the white man, and with the thick blonde hair and beard Thomas assumed was Ulfric, grabbed him by the shoulder and walked him off to the armoury. As Idris watched on, chuckling, with Thomas looking worried as Ulfric dragged him to the armoury. Thomas was fitted with leather, steel, iron and scale armour until he and mail that fitted him as well as armour, a helmet and gauntlets. Eventually, he was wearing scale mail and steel armour, gauntlets and a helmet. It's with a Redhill Army cloak. There, Thomas, you look like a proper soldier of Redhill. You'll be a great ally in the fight against dealmaker Daniel Wolfskin and his werewolf army, Ulfric said as he entered the tent. Thomas looked at himself in the mirror and saw that he looked a bit like his and Idris's father. I look like father, in a way, Thomas said as Idris looked at him smiling. Then Thomas left the tent to have another look around the army barracks. A few minutes later, as Thomas was looking around, the medics from the front line came in with a number of wounded soldiers. Thomas went to look at the soldiers, and his stomach turned inwards as he saw the dead and wounded men and women of the front lines. The wounds that they had all received were scratches, slashes, bites, and many more, with blood still gushing out of them, and made Thomas feel like he was going to vomit. "You okay over there, laddie?" asked a short woman in a black robe with a bag of what looked like medical equipment. Thomas turned to his left to see she had long blonde hair and spectacles that made her eyes look too big for her skull. "My name is Ellis," she said in a southern accent. "I'm head medic here and—" "Wait a minute. You're Thomas of Redhill!" She stared at Thomas with her huge eyes. "I knew your father, Henry of Redhill. He was my best friend. I'm sorry I couldn't save him." Thomas stared at her as she spoke. She'd known his father, and she might have been the one who operated on him when he was injured from his attack. "You knew my father?" Thomas stammered. Ellis nodded. Her huge eyes seemed to bore into Thomas, and then she led Thomas to the soldiers in the carriers. "How are you today, Mitchel?" Ellis asked as they knelt down beside a young human, around about the age of 15, with a deep four-clawed slash across his chest, shoulder, rib cage, and even his left cheek, with blood pouring from his wounds. The boy called Mitchel looked up at Ellis and Thomas. Pain and annoyance were evident on his young face, and in his deep blue eyes. How do you think, Ellis? I barely survived that werewolf attack at Thunderhill. There were too many of them, and we were almost slaughtered. I lost my brother and sister, Mitchel said through painful breaths. Ellis pulled out a roll of bandaging and a vial of potion to tend to Mitchell's injuries as he lay there, and Thomas watched on. That is it for the moment, but part 2 will be coming out soon. It may be in the description below. So, better wait until then, ladies and gentlemen. To be continued.